In every life, there are moments that break us and moments that shape us. This is the story of Joseph, a young dreamer who was betrayed, enslaved, imprisoned, and forgotten, yet rose to become one of the most powerful men in the world. A story of faith, perseverance, and divine destiny. The dreamer. The night sky shimmered with countless stars above Canaan. Inside the tents of Jacob's household, Joseph stood out among his 11 brothers. At just 17, he was the favored son, the child of Jacob's old age, wrapped in a richly colored coat that spoke of love but also stirred jealousy. Joseph was not like his brothers. He dreamed, and his dreams were not ordinary. One morning, he gathered his family and told them, "Listen, I had a dream. We were binding sheaves of grain in the field when suddenly my sheaf rose and stood upright, while your sheaves gathered around mine and bowed down to it." His brothers were furious. "So you think you will reign over us? That you will rule us?" But Joseph dreamed again. "I saw the sun, the moon, and 11 stars bowing down to me." Even his father, Jacob, rebuked him. "Will your mother and I and your brothers actually come and bow to the ground before you?" Yet deep inside, Jacob kept the matter in mind. Betrayal in the fields. One day, Jacob sent Joseph to check on his brothers in the fields near Dothan. As Joseph approached, his colorful coat visible from afar, envy consumed them. "Here comes the dreamer," they sneered. "Let's kill him and see what becomes of his dreams." Reuben, the eldest, intervened. "Do not shed blood. Throw him into this pit here in the wilderness, but do not lay a hand on him." And so Joseph's fate changed in a moment. Stripped of his robe, he was thrown into a dry cistern. While his brothers sat down to eat, a caravan of Ishmaelite traders approached on their way to Egypt. Judah spoke up, "What will we gain if we kill our brother? Let's sell him to the Ishmaelites and not lay our hands on him. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh and blood." For 20 pieces of silver, they sold Joseph. The boy who dreamed of greatness was bound in chains and led away toward Egypt. His brothers dipped his robe in goat's blood and brought it to Jacob. The old man wept bitterly, believing his beloved son had been devoured by wild beasts. A slave in Egypt, Joseph was sold to Potiphar, captain of Pharaoh's guard. Though enslaved, the hand of God was upon him. Joseph worked with diligence, and everything he touched prospered. Soon, Potiphar placed him in charge of his entire household. The boy once cast aside became the overseer of a great man's estate. But where favor abounds, temptation often follows. Potiphar's wife took notice of Joseph's strength and beauty. Day after day she whispered, "Come, lie with me." Joseph refused. "How could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God?" One day, she grabbed his cloak as he fled. Enraged by rejection, she accused him falsely. "This Hebrew slave tried to violate me." Potiphar's anger burned, and Joseph was cast into prison. Once more, the dreamer's life descended into darkness, forgotten in the dungeon. Yet even in prison, Joseph found favor. The warden placed all the prisoners under his care. 2 of Pharaoh's officials, the cupbearer and the baker, were thrown into the same prison. One night, both had troubling dreams. Joseph, filled with God's wisdom, interpreted them to the cupbearer. "In 3 days Pharaoh will lift up your head and restore you to your position." To the baker, "In 3 days Pharaoh will lift off your head and impale your body on a pole." And it happened exactly as Joseph said. As the cupbearer was released, Joseph pleaded, "Remember me when it is well with you. Mention me to Pharaoh and get me out of this place." But the cupbearer forgot him. 2 more years passed in silence. Dreams of a king. Then one night, Pharaoh himself dreamed. He stood by the Nile when 7 fat cows came up from the river and grazed among the reeds. Suddenly, 7 thin cows came up and devoured the fat cows. Again he dreamed 7 healthy heads of grain were swallowed by 7 thin and scorched heads. No magician or wise man in Egypt could interpret the dreams. At last, the cupbearer remembered. Today I am reminded of my shortcomings. There was a young Hebrew in prison who interpreted our dreams, and they came to pass. Joseph was summoned, shaved, and brought before Pharaoh. I cannot do it, Joseph said humbly. But God will give Pharaoh the answer he desires. He explained, the dreams are one. 7 years of abundance are coming to Egypt, followed by 7 years of severe famine. Let Pharaoh appoint a wise man to store up grain during the years of plenty, so the nation may survive the years of famine. Pharaoh was astonished. Can we find anyone like this man, one in whom is the Spirit of God? And just like that, Joseph was lifted from prisoner to prince. Pharaoh declared, You shall be in charge of my palace, and all my people are to submit to your orders. Only with respect to the throne will I be greater than you. Joseph was clothed in fine linen. A gold chain was placed around his neck, and he was given authority over all Egypt. The reunion, when famine swept across the lands, even Canaan suffered. Jacob's sons journeyed to Egypt to buy grain, bowing before the governor of the land, not knowing it was Joseph, their brother. The dream had come true. Joseph, filled with emotion, tested them to see if their hearts had changed. At last, when Judah pleaded to sacrifice himself for Benjamin, Joseph could no longer contain his tears. I am Joseph. Is my father still alive? He wept. His brothers trembled in fear, but Joseph embraced them with forgiveness. Do not be afraid or angry with yourselves for selling me here. It was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you. Jacob was reunited with his beloved son, and Joseph became the preserver of nations during the famine. Lessons for us today. Betrayal cannot stop God's plan. False accusations cannot silence truth. Delay is not denial. Even when forgotten, Joseph was being prepared. Forgiveness is freedom. Joseph chose mercy over vengeance. And most of all, God can take you from the pit to the palace if you hold on to faith. Maybe today you feel stuck in your own pit, betrayed, rejected, or forgotten. Remember Joseph. Your story is not over. God is still writing it. Hold on to faith, because the same God who lifted Joseph will lift you too. If this story blessed you, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to Light of Scripture. Bible stories for more inspiring biblical journeys.